Hi, and welcome back to Self-Care While Grieving course. I'm Kelly Daugherty, and we are now on Module 6, which is about self-compassion. So I'm going to share a little bit about what self-compassion means, and we're going to talk about why it's important with grief, and then I'm going to lead you through a couple of different self-compassion exercises. And again, refer to your workbook because you're going to have some additional questions, some journal prompts, some additional activities, and then setting a goal for yourself in terms of self-compassion. And one of the people that I follow for self-compassion is her name is Kristen Neff. And she has a great website, self-compassion.org. And I would highly encourage you to check it out because on there she has meditations as well as self-compassion exercises. She also has a great self-compassion workbook that I love and I use a lot with my clients. So those are some great resources if you need some additional information. So self-compassion basically comes down to being kind to yourself. And unfortunately, the research says that about 80% of us are nicer to other people than we are to ourselves. We can be really compassionate to other people, but we're not always compassionate to ourselves. We have very high standards, a lot of people will say, and that's why they can't be compassionate. They think they're letting themselves off the hook if they're being compassionate. They have to be hard on themselves. The reality, that's not what the research says. Being self-compassionate actually improves all of those things and improves relationships. It improves your ability to do tasks, to accomplish goals, to be able to do the things that you want to do. So self-compassion isn't a weakness. It's actually a strength and something really positive and something to try to aim to do better. So self-compassion comes down to three things. The first one is common humanity. We all experience suffering. Nobody can get through life without suffering. We may think, oh, this person hasn't had anything. That's not the case. Everybody experiences suffering on different levels throughout their life. You can't get through this life without some suffering. The second one is mindfulness, which means being in the present moment. What's happening right now in this very moment? And in a later module, we're going to talk way more about mindfulness. And then the third one is self-kindness. Thinking about what would you say to a best friend and give yourself that same advice. We can be real compassionate to somebody else. Oh, don't beat yourself up. You're doing the best you can, but we don't always do that for ourselves. So it's about being kind to yourself, thinking about what would you say to your best friend in this situation, and then give yourself that same advice. So affirmations can be really beneficial with self-compassion, coming up with something like I'm doing the best I can. Some other ways to practice self-compassion is to celebrate your small achievements, even the small ones, even getting out of bed when you are in the early stages, well, not stages, earliest part of your grief, even getting out of bed and going to work, that is an achievement. So celebrate those things. We can be really hard on ourselves when we're grieving. We can get caught up in the what ifs. What if I could have done this for them? I should have said this to them. I shouldn't have said this to them. I should have been a better wife, mother, daughter, father, whatever it is, right? We can be really hard on ourselves. So it's really important to practice self-compassion while we're grieving, being kind to ourselves. And especially, I think, in terms of traumatic loss, maybe loss due to suicide or overdose, those are sometimes the more difficult losses that we struggle more with the self-compassion about because we think we had more of control over it. And so we really have to practice self-compassion and being kind to ourselves with that. So what are some ways to practice self-compassion? Connecting with supportive people, letting them provide support to you, going back to your lists, right? Your list of support systems that we talked about, utilizing your listeners, your doers, your respite, sharing your feelings with empathetic people and compassionate people, making your own toolkit of what can you do to be kind to yourself. Maybe it's taking a bubble bath. Maybe it's going for a massage or going to get a pedicure. Maybe it's going out to eat and eating something really yummy. Practicing patience, understanding that this is a process you're going through. This isn't going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. And you're not going to be like, oh, I've reached a year. I'm great. It doesn't work that way. So just be patient with yourself. Give yourself the time you need. So one of the things that Kristen Neff talks a lot about and other people that talk about self-compassion is the self-compassion break. So something's coming up. You're beating yourself up. Just put your hand on your heart. Feeling your heart. That's a common humanity. We all all of us, our hearts beat, right? Say this is a moment of suffering, right? Again, common humanity, mindfulness. I'm doing the best I can. Self-kindness. So again, hand on heart. This is a moment of suffering. I'm doing the best I can. Even doing something like that is a good little self-compassion break. So now we're going to lead into a self-compassion meditation. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable somewhere you won't be disturbed, and we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in through the nose and nice and slowly out through the mouth. Imagining a wave of relaxation flowing all the way from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. Another good deep breath in. And again, nice and slowly out through the mouth. Another wave of relaxation. Calm and relaxed. Calm and relaxed. Another deep breath in. And as you settle into this moment, bring to mind someone in your life that you know is currently grieving. It can be due to a death or another kind of loss. It could be a friend, someone close to you, a colleague. Visualize them in your mind's eye. Now say these words in your heart, directing them towards the person who is grieving. May you find support in your grief. May you find strength in your vulnerability. May you find healing. May you find peace in your loss. Imagine them surrounded by a gentle, soothing light, one that understands their grief and offers them comfort and support. Now let's extend this loving kindness to others who are grieving. May all who grieve find comfort and support. May they find strength in their vulnerability. May they find healing in their pain. May they find peace in their loss. Visualize a network of people, each carrying their own grief, but all connected by the same comforting light, sharing in the healing process. This light understands their grief and offers them comfort and support. Now let's include all those who have experienced grief and loss around the world. Envision the global community of grievers and say, may all who grieve find comfort and support. May they find strength in their vulnerability. May they find healing in their pain. May they find peace in their loss. Imagine this collective grief being acknowledged and embraced by the same compassionate light, creating a sense of unity and understanding. Now thinking about yourself and your own grief. And repeat. May I grieve. May I find comfort and support in my grief. May I find comfort and support in my grief. May I find strength in my vulnerability. May I find healing in my pain. May I find peace in my loss. Take a moment to sit with this awareness of grief, the pain, and the love that surrounds it. Knowing you are not alone in this journey, and neither are those who you have in your support network and throughout the world. This collective grief, letting that soothing light envelop throughout you, throughout your entire body, all the way from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes, throughout your entire body. This soothing, gentle light, one that understands your own unique grief and offers you comfort and support. Really allow yourself to feel this beautiful, soothing light going throughout your entire body, providing you with comfort and support and loving kindness. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, returning to this present moment, carrying the warmth of loving kindness with you as you continue throughout your day. Self-compassion is a really important tool to be utilizing when you're grieving. Try it out. Try the different meditations, loving kindness meditations, self-compassion breaks. Go to Kristen Neff's website and do some of her other meditations, and share in the Grief Empowerment Group what you have found to be helpful and beneficial in terms of self-compassion. And what's hard about it, because we're not used to doing it. So it's going to take practice. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. Making sure you maybe choose affirmations that are positive, uplifting. And again, remember, think about what would you say to a best friend and give yourself that same advice. So be kind to yourself. Remember, grief is hard. Grief has a lot of suffering, but you can be kind to yourself in those really hard moments. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for module 7, where we're going to talk about mindfulness. So stay tuned.